Well, folks, Donald Trump just got some devastating news, and it really just shows you how badly his campaign is being run. So tonight, the presidential primary was taking place in the great state of Indiana, both for the Democratic Party and, of course, the Republican Party. Joe Biden ran uncontested, so he won the primary outright, but Donald Trump wasn't. There were some other people technically still on the ballot running against him, even though all of them had dropped out of the race. And the results for Trump spell disaster for the campaign. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But I am not in my normal setup. I'm doing some travel, but you will learn more about that soon. I promise it's worth it. So as I mentioned, the presidential primary was tonight, and as of the time I'm recording this, we only have 82% of the votes counted for the Republican presidential primary. But man, does it tell a disastrous story for Trump and his campaign. Here are the results on your screen right now as it stands. So as I mentioned, 82% of the votes in. Donald Trump has received 437,072 votes, or 78.3% of the vote. But that's not the problem. The problem is Nikki Haley received 120,000 votes, more like 121,000 votes, or 21.7% of the vote. Now, Nikki Haley's been out of the race for 2 months. She is not campaigning. She is currently not a candidate for president of the United States. She's not spending money. She's not running ads. She's not having events. And yet, consistently, in these Republican primary races, she's receiving around 20% of the vote, more in this instance. That is a disaster for Donald Trump. It shows you that in the state of Indiana, a very Republican state, yes, of course, there are hundreds of thousands of Republicans who are going to vote for Trump, but there's 121,000 of them who won't, and they're not. And many of them will either not vote for Trump, or many will vote for Joe Biden. And that switch, that lack of enthusiasm for Donald Trump, could very well spell disaster for his campaign, utter chaos. Because if they're switching to the Biden side or just sitting out, that's a lot of votes not going to Donald Trump. And you're seeing it in states around the country. Pennsylvania, a swing state, had hundreds of thousands, 150,000, I believe, Nikki Haley votes. 150,000 Nikki Haley votes in a swing state, in a state that Biden won by 80,000. So there's no room to lose votes in that state. This is a solid Republican state in the form of Indiana. But these other states where we're seeing consistent results like this, God, that's awful for the Trump campaign. And not only that, not only is it just like these hundreds of thousands of people getting out there voting against Donald Trump in his own party, somebody pointed out on social media tonight that if these results hold sort of in the same range that they are, it'll mean that Nikki Haley has gotten more popular and is getting a higher percentage of votes than when she was in the race. So take a look at this on your screen. This user on Twitter /X, journalist, wrote that, is Nikki Haley getting more popular? Right now, she's at 21.6% in Indiana. Now she's at 21.7%, so she actually went up with more than 70% reporting. If it holds, that would be her best showing since dropping out after Super Tuesday. Her best showing in months, showing that even more Republicans are dissatisfied with their choice in their party, aka Donald Trump, the guy who's on criminal trial in New York City right now on 34 felony charges. Among the other things that Donald Trump is going through right now or saying right now and the policy positions he's taken. But Nikki Haley's getting popular. She's receiving more votes. More and more Republicans are dissatisfied with Donald Trump. And look, as I always say, if any of these Republicans are watching, I don't know if they are, but if they are, come over to the Biden side. I promise you we will welcome you with open arms. You don't have to love Joe Biden. You don't have to like him. You don't even have to enjoy voting for him. But just come on over to the logical side of American politics. And we'll welcome you with open arms. We'll give you a big hug on the way over. So, I mean, when you're losing that amount of support in your own party, that is a red flag, a siren for your campaign, for your side of the aisle. And will Donald Trump's campaign try to adjust, try to win those voters? Probably not. They think they're untouchable, that they're gods, and that they're going to win no matter what. So they probably won't, but you know who will? Joe Biden. And I want to touch on something I just said prior to this, which is I think there's a really good reason as to why we're seeing these results. And again, it's not only that Donald Trump is, of course, a proven sexual abuser, a proven fraudster, facing 88 felony charges. His presidency was a disaster, was terrible. Obviously, he said awful things about people. He bullies people, demeans people. I mean, we all know there's a laundry list of the baggage that Donald Trump holds and continues to hold. But also, I just think that a lot of people are tuning into politics more, and they're seeing the split screen of Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, your two candidates, the Democrat versus the Republican. And the split screen is, right now, today, Donald Trump, as you can see on your screen, was in court, and Stormy Daniels, an adult actress, was testifying against him. And she's obviously a recipient of some hush money from Donald Trump and his organization. So she was testifying to this and certain, how do I say this nicely, inappropriate encounters that she's had with Donald Trump and giving sometimes a little bit too much detail about those things. And the judge had to reprimand her. But aside from that, that's what's happening in Donald Trump's world. And as you can see from the transcript released from the court today in New York, Donald Trump was like cursing under his breath while Stormy Daniels was testifying. He cannot contain himself. And the judge, it was so much so that the judge had to bring Donald Trump's lawyer up to the stand and have a private talk with him so to not embarrass Donald Trump, to say, hey, buddy, get your client back in, reel him in, have him stop cussing under his breath. We can all hear it. So that's what Donald Trump did today, right? And on the other side of things, which, by the way, is insane. That is insane. We have to acknowledge that. We can't get numb to it. That is crazy. But on the other side of things, we have President Biden, who is continuing to travel the country, talking to voters, talking about important policy, working for us every single day, doing these complex negotiations with foreign countries surrounding everything happening in the world right now, every single day, every single hour that he's in that office. And he gave a speech today talking about the rise in anti-Semitism in America and how that's a terrible thing, and he condemned bigotry in all forms. Any form of discrimination, any form of hate is wrong, is what Joe Biden said in this speech, and he continues to say that. So that's the split screen. You have a president giving speeches, talking to the American people, introducing new policy, passing policy, working for us, and he's a nice guy. And on the other side of the things, you have Donald Trump, who, as I mentioned, in court right now for 34 felony charges surrounding, again, how do I say this politely, encounters he had with adult actresses and trying to cover them up so he could benefit his own campaign. That's the split screen. So to be completely frank with you, I'm not surprised at these numbers. More and more Americans, as we get closer to the election, are going to see the insanity of Donald Trump, the chaos that comes with him. And they're going to say, look, I'm not standing for it. And there are, of course, going to be many people who vote for Donald Trump. Those folks are MAGA through and through. And, well, you know, they believe conspiracy theories, or maybe they're just wanting a change, quote unquote, whatever their silly excuse is. But I have a feeling there's a lot of them who won't. So I think that's some interesting data to take in mind, keep in mind as we go forward, and something to be a little bit hopeful about, that so many people in the Republican Party are saying no to Donald Trump. And hopefully that trend continues and they come over to the good side of politics, as I mentioned. So I will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching this on the road video, traveling video. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes such a long way. Drop a like on the video as well. Comment. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think these numbers are a big deal, or do you think I'm overreacting? I'm truly curious. Also, share the video with anybody you think needs to see it. And as always, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.